Well, we've all been doing various things differently in our lives during the pandemic, and one thing has definitely been an issue when you've had to sign forms, legal forms, and I know there's been fax and all those sort of things, but sometimes, Thomas is here to talk about it, you have to be in person, don't you?
Yeah.
Or you used to have to be in person, and it's been causing such an issue.
Yeah.
You're here based on the Isle of Man now, which is interesting, electronic signage, which almost sounds like it should be easy to do, but it's not that easy. Or you need people like you, I guess.
Yeah, the technology behind it to make it what's legally binding in most territories is quite complicated in terms of you need significant key identifiers to make it acceptable for most industries. But for the user, doing the journey from the document creation to sending out the documents is relatively straightforward.
Right, because this is always down to things going wrong and people trying to do things they shouldn't do, right? I mean, security.
Yeah. Massively.
How do you deal with that?
So we empower the original document author with a lot of with most documents, there's certain levels of security and identification requirements needed at different levels. So from myself to you, a simple memorandum of understanding, and my email address, that could suffice. If it's a little bit more in depth and someone needs a bit more identity verification, KYC for example, then we allow people to do real world identity checks run against databases, live databases for passport, global identification, electoral roll and stuff like that. So we empower the document author with the level of security that they require for that document.
I'm guessing you had to go through lots of hoops though to get approved by people, because I mean they've got to make sure you're right, and then you're going to take responsibility on for making sure everybody else is okay. Is it to some degree? Yeah,
there was two facets to this. So when we created the technology, we were banging on a lot of industry's doors saying, this is what you should be using. It will save you time, improve customer journey, security, save loads of money. But because the legislation wasn't really in place, it was quite difficult to begin with. Now we have the same industries coming to us, approaching us saying, look, we really need you to, we've had event-driven circumstances such as the pandemic and other things that we really need to start getting on board with this now and using your technology. What we do to ensure compliance, there's different certifications and different accreditations that you need for the different industries. The broad scope ones like ISO 27001, ISO 9001, that's your bread and butter stuff. We were actually on the working group with the European Commission for what was called the IDES regulation, so we helped them form the legislation for what should be an electronic signature back in the early days in 2014.
I'm guessing a major part of having to sign in person with people travelling the globe. I mean, you hear about all these stories, literally people getting on their jets just to turn up in somewhere, sign away and off we go. That will have changed. That must be an interesting side of it, isn't it? Because it's saving carbon or something?
Yeah, massively. So there's a couple of elements to this. Again, coming back to the pandemic, we had healthcare providers that really needed to eliminate in-person contact, especially for vulnerable people. Yeah. So they created processes where dispensary issuing of medical medicine via e-prescriptions, they didn't need the vulnerable person to present themselves to reduce that contact, obviously for obvious reasons. We formed a key part of that, and we've worked with most of the healthcare providers in the UK on a specific workflow where vulnerable people have the medicines dispensed to them without the need for contact, just via our system. Skipping forward to reducing carbon, if we form a heavy part of that, and so much so that we've put what's called a carbon counter now into our customer dashboard, so everyone can see how much carbon that they save. This was born about because we've done a research with the University of Liverpool a couple of years ago, and we found in one industry alone, one large law firm, we saved them over 3 tons of carbon in 1 year just on the reduction of paper that they were using.
The airlines won't like you, or the people travelling business class left, front and centre. But it's a really important thing now, of course, for a lot of people these days.
Yeah, I mean, obviously for customer experience, face-to-face contact, I still feel is an important element of it, but for your customer journey and to improve process and turnaround time, you can get rid of that and just use electronic signatures and just have things completed in a quicker time frame.
It's obviously a new technology and booming, but you're here in the Isle of Man, so you're here and got a presence here, you know.
Yeah, we're here. We've got an office on Athol Street, and that's growing. We're growing our head count, and most of our customer support and onboarding team will be here.